The Jesus Trilogy, Part 1, Four Messiahs, Chapter 38. He's a fine little fellow, said Tara. He is that, chimed in the proud father. Just 2 years old, eh? Rose said. Do you suppose he'll be able to hold his weight in the organization like the old man? Omar inquired. Is there a doubt? Abel said. Say, how are you boys doing on our little project? We're still collecting arms, sir, Gadara said. Got about 1,500 weapons stockpiled here at the warehouse. What kind of weapons? Abel asked. The finest, sir, Gadara answered. How many of iron? Well, well, Abel asked, raising his voice. 100, sir, Gadara said softly. 100? Abel was livid. You expect to fight the Romans with 100 weapons of iron? We got some brass, sir, Gadara said sheepishly. Brass, grass, Abel shook his head in disbelief. We'll be slaughtered. I don't mind dying, but I'm definitely against suicide. Where's Uz? He sat down on the stool and buried his head in his hands. Why are things always so hard? He thought out loud. Where are we going to find iron? Where? He looked at his little boy. I hope it's easier for you than it is for me. Sir, Omar says they just got another 50 spears with iron tips. Robbed a shipment coming in from Rome. Clean job. Pulled the last camel off the road, killed the driver and the camel. No one saw him. Abel's eyes lit up. That's more like it, he said happily. When's the next shipment? Gadara asked. About a month from now, sir, Omar said, but they're usually more heavily guarded. Wonder why such a light guard? Abel asked. I don't know. See if you can find out anything from our man in Tyre. The more information we have, the better. We need dates, times, quantities of weapons, and numbers of guards. Get on it first thing in the morning. Yes, sir. Omar gave a salute and was gone. Abel went to the back room to talk more with the old man. He wanted to pick his brain about the theories of resistance. How to infiltrate, how to get information, how to plan scenarios, and above all, how to remain secret and avoid capture. I was just a little boy when they hit Masada, Uz said. Maybe 10, but I'll never forget it. My dad was there. They had been holed up for a long time. The siege was killing us one by one. I never ate human flesh before or since, but I did then. I didn't care. I desperately wanted to live. The old man loved to tell his story. What did it taste like? Just like any other meat, kind of a cross between beef and chicken, if you know what I mean. Anyway, when the Romans finally reached the top of the walls, those not fighting on the wall were assembled in the center of the town. One by one, they began to kill each other right down the line. My father was the next to the last in line. Old Uz took a breath. Who was the last? Abel asked. I was. Then what? The Romans were coming over the walls, but the gruesome sight stopped them dead in their tracks. My father had run the man next to him through with his sword and had the sword poised to run me through and then himself. But at the last instant a huge boulder from the catapult flew over the wall and hit my father square. Killed him instantly. It raised a tremendous cloud of dust. The old man paused to take a sip of brandy. He did love brandy, but also attentive audiences. Then what? Then what? Abel was like a little kid. He wanted to know all the rest. He didn't want us to quit now. So what'd you do? I really didn't want to die. I ran for cover through the thick dust. No one saw me. I ran into a back room and found a large clay pot about 4 feet high. I jumped in and pulled the cover over me. To my surprise, there was bread in the pot. Must have been 20 loaves in there. Someone had hidden that bread while the rest of the village starved. Who? I don't know. I suspect one of the junior officers, but I just don't know, Uz said. How long were you in there? Abel asked. Must have been in that pot for at least 24 hours. I ate and slept and tried to stretch quietly, of course. The following night all seemed quiet, so I peered out of the pot and found no one in the room. I snuck around the corner to the door and peered out. The town center courtyard was empty. No one was there, only a couple of sentries on the wall, but otherwise all was quiet. I worked my way across the courtyard in the shadows. I got down to the main gate, but it was closed. There was a guard outside, but he was looking out over the wall. There was another at the gate. I decided the only way of escape was to take the first guy out. His head was nodding. I knew if I surprised him I could do it. I snuck behind him. His sword and scabbard were lying on the ground. His head kept bobbing. I eased the sword from its scabbard. No noise. Then I took aim and ran him through. No, Abel gasped. Sure did, Sonny. Through and through. You never knew what hit him. The rest was easy. I took his key and eased open the gate just far enough to squeeze through and then closed it. I ran down the canyon road as fast as I could. Must have run 5 miles before I fell down exhausted. I slept all day, then I worked my way across the country at night. Got all the way to Nazareth. I had an aunt up there. She raised me. Got into school with your dad. Sorry to hear of his passing. He died an honorable death, Abel said. He was a brave man, and so are you, the old man said. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I expect the little one will carry on in his father's footsteps. He's got a lot of spirit. I expect so, the proud father said, hoisting his son on his shoulder and heading for the door.